Good morning. Today we are going to be talking about the coordinate plane and some of the vocabulary that goes with it. This should not be anything new to you. These should all just be reminders. That's why there's not a big list of definitions. It's supposed to be things you already kind of know. So first off, coordinate plane is essentially a graph or a grid sheet where it is a plane, which means two-dimensional. We have a left and right direction, and that left and right direction is called the x-axis. It is labeled with an X on the right-hand side, and again, it is this main line through the middle. All right. Then we also have a y-axis, our second direction. So again, it's two-dimensional, which means it's flat. And again, that's our y-axis. So it makes a coordinate plane. It's not three-dimensional. It doesn't jump off at the page at you. It only goes left and right or up and down. Right now, at the very center of that particular coordinate plane is what's called the origin. Right? That origin happens to have an ordered pair of coordinates of 0, 0. Now, the reason for that, again, is because that's our starting point. That's what the word origin actually means. It means starting point. All right? Now, the reason we call this a starting point is because we think about this grid system as like a map. And that's where the middle is. That's where the starting point, where you're located, is always there. So whenever you're counting out your ordered pairs, you always start from the center. And it's alphabetical. It's two numbers. The first in the order is the X, and the second is the Y. And that's, again, an A, B, C order. X comes before Y in the alphabet, so X comes before Y in an ordered pair. So when we're doing an ordered pair, we always start in the middle, and the first number, that X coordinate, tells us how much left or right to move. The second coordinate, the Y coordinate, tells us how much up or down to move. And then the graph is split up into 4 quadrants. Again, a quadrant is like a section or a neighborhood. And again, really think about these as like a map. This is a map. Those are the main roads I just drew, the red and the blue one, and all the ones in between. Those are like little neighborhood roads. And neighborhoods have names, and they're named with Roman numerals. The top right corner is called quadrant 1, and yes, you have to use Roman numerals. You cannot use a regular one. That means something completely different. All right, now it goes counterclockwise, which means we go around to the left, and then we get quadrant 2, or II in Roman numerals. And then we keep going around to the left, and we get quadrant 3. Right, and as we go around, again, counterclockwise, the opposite way a clock goes, we get to 4. But in Roman numerals, 4 is a 1 and a V. If you don't know how Roman numerals work, that's fine. It's not something you really need to know all that much about. Other than we do use them every now and then so that we don't confuse them with regular numbers. And again, regular numbers we're going to be using for these ordered pairs. And we just don't want to get them confused. So we use the Roman numerals for quadrants. We use regular numbers for ordered pairs, which is where our work is going to be today. Those two things, ordered pairs and quadrants. All right. So your work will look something like this. You're going to have a grid, and you're going to be matching up coordinates with locations on the graph. So we're just going to do a few of these together, and then we're going to do a second part that weren't in the actual original directions, but it saves us from doing a whole second problem, and we're going to identify quadrants. So for example, point A right here. Right, we're looking for that one at 3, 4. So remember, this is an X and a Y. So that first number, being a 3, says that we start at the origin. So again, I'm going to start here in the middle. And I'm going to move along the X-axis first to where I see 3. Then, the next one, the Y, that's my up and down number. Now I'm going to move along the Y up till I get to 4. That is my ending location, so that all that stuff on the graph I just drew right now I'm going to get rid of, and my ending location is where I'm going to put a dot. Again, that would be over to the right 3 and up 4, right there. There's point A. All right, so that's what you're going to be doing today, is labeling and finding some of these locations. Now, second part of this, identify the quadrant. So what quadrant is that in? Well, that's in that top right quadrant, which is quadrant 1. The next one, 4, -2. So that first number 4, start at the center. First number 4 says to go to the right 4, because 4 is positive. Now, hopefully you can see the number line. The right-hand sides are positive. The left-hand sides are negative. That's pretty much every number line in the history of the planet of Earth has been that way. Same thing with up and down. As you go up, they're positive. As you go down, they're negative. Again, welcome to Earth. That's the way we do things here. All right, so that 4 and negative 2. So the 4 is to the right, and then the negative 2 is down. So that's where I'd put point C. Now, what quadrant is that in? Well, that's in the bottom right-hand quadrant, which is quadrant number 4. What about the next point here? E, 2, 5. Well, the first number is left or right. The 2 is positive, so it's to the right. The second number is up or down. It's 5. It's positive, so that's up. So if I go 2 to the right and up 5, that gets me point E. Also in quadrant 1, the top right quadrant. Now let's do one more of these together. G. It's a negative 3 and a 7. So that first number, negative 3, that's my X. Again, that's my left or right. It's negative, so that means to the left 3. Then the second number is my Y. That's up and down. If you forget, the little hints off to the side and the top here that reminds you. So the Y is the up and down. That would be a 7. It's positive, so that's up. So again, left 3 and up 7. Quadrant, that's in the top left corner, which would be quadrant 2. Now, putting the dots in, that should have been something you've been doing since maybe the 3rd or 4th grade. The quadrants, that might have been something that was new to you last year. So, again, that one might be a little trickier at first until you kind of get used to them. And again, the quadrants are 1 to the top right, 2 to the top left, 3 in the bottom left, and 4 in the bottom right. Again, starting where the 1 would be on a clock, and then counting in a counterclockwise direction. All right, I'm not going to finish every single one of these. I think you get the idea at this point. All right, this is what your work is today. Hopefully it's basic for you. Good luck.